This conference will now be recorded.
Now, to begin with the demo session, I would like to take an application. Okay, I would like to take this sample application for today's demo session. Generally, we'll discuss about the functional testing. You know, like what is the role of a functional tester? Why exactly we do the functional testing, and what is performance testing and why performance testing. Okay, so generally what a performance tester would do, generally they validate the functionality, right? Functional testing is all about the validating the functionality. So what is validating the functionality? For example, if I want to validate this particular login, there is a website over here, a sample website. For example, I want to validate the login functionality. What would I do first? I generally okay. Could you please confirm if you are able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So generally, as part of functional testing, what would we do? We validate the functionality, right? So if I want to validate the login part of this particular website, so generally what would we do? We enter the username. Okay, we enter some username and we enter some password, right? And if I click on login, this home page will get displayed. Now the functional testing is all about the validating the functionality. So what would I do? I'll ensure that as soon as I enter the username and password, I'm able to see this particular home page or not. If the home page is displayed successfully, that means this particular login is working as expected. This is all about the validating the functionality. But as a performance tester, I'm not interested to know about this particular the functionality part, wholly into the functionality part. I want to know the core importance of functional test, the performance testing is to know how much time it took to log in. Okay, how fast the application navigated to the home page. As soon as I entered the username and password, how fast the application navigated to the home page. That is where the performance tester is more interested, right? I generally entered username and password and I navigated to the home page. But how much time it took? It hardly took a second or two to navigate to the home page. That is where the performance testing or the performance tester is more interested, right? But this particular navigation, whatever I did manually, I did it with one user, right? Now with one user, I entered my username and password. I navigated to home page. Now I can tell, hey, it took hardly 1 or 2 seconds to navigate to home page. Okay, but in performance testing, if we want to test the application, okay, for its performance, there should be some load. Okay, there should be some load. That's the reason we say performance testing is all about how fast the application is responding to your request with the expected load. There should be some expected load, right? How fast the application is responding to your request with expected load. Okay, so the same application, if I test with, let's say, 50 users or 100 users at a time, okay, that's the expected load. Let's assume it. Now, how fast the application is responding? Okay, how fast the user is able to navigate to home page. Okay, so that is where the performance testing is all about. Okay, it's not only about login. It's about testing the application's performance throughout. For example, if I have a button here, flights, okay, and if I select some London and some Denver, and if I want to book a flight ticket, so testing the performance of all these pages, like we have entered some source and destination, and now we are selecting some flight here, and we are clicking on continue, and we are entering some payment details here, right? And if we click on continue, and now the the flight ticket has been generated. Now I'm just giving an example of this application. Likewise, testing the application's performance throughout, okay, all the screens or the critical screens, okay, whatever the critical screens are there, testing its performance, that is the important thing, right? So performance tester is more interested in knowing the performance of the application, how fast the application is responding, how fast the page is loading, right, with the expected load. Okay, expected load, it's an important terminology, like the expected load, how many users are accessing the application at a time, right? For example, there is a bank application. Let's take HDFC Bank or ICICI Bank. Generally, people log into the application around 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. Right now, as a performance tester, I'm more interested to know how my bank application is performing, at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. during the peak load. Generally, bank will perform people will start using bank application, let's say about from 10 a.m. right? So the more number of users will access the bank application at 10 a.m. let's assume it. Now I want to know how my bank application is responding when so many people are accessing at a time. Okay, now with one user I can directly navigate like this, and I can check the performance. Okay, I can on an approximate, I can give an approximate number that this is taking let's say 1 second or 2 seconds. But if I want to test, okay, if I want to test with 50 users or 100 users, there should be some tool which should support us, right? Okay, that is LoadRunner. Okay, that is LoadRunner. It will help us to test the application with multiple users or concurrent users. Okay, it will also help us to develop a script. Okay, develop a script which will do that activity continuously. For example, if I want to test the login part here, right? I'll sign off, and for example, I want to enter a username, and I want to enter. I'm entering a password, and I'm clicking on login button here. So I navigated to home page. Now I want to test this login function, performance. Okay. Now I have to record this script. Actually, I have to record this flow and test this script with multiple users or concurrent users. Let's say 50 or 100 or 200. Right. Now there should be some tool or some script using which I should be able to record it. Okay. I should be able to run the script again and again. Right. So that is Vugen. There is a component called Vugen. Now, for now, what we will do is we will record this login functionality using a component called Vugen, and then we'll see how to calculate the response time of a login, and then we'll discuss about the architecture of the LoadRunner. Then you'll have a clear picture of what is performance testing all about. Okay. Now I'm gonna close this. As I told you, there should be a tool, or there should be a script which will help us in recording this functionality, right? So that is called Vugen. Okay, this is the home page of it. Now this is one of the component of LoadRunner. Vugen is one of the component of LoadRunner. Now let's click on this file and create a script actually for that particular login for and then we'll see how much time it is taking. Okay, how the script is generated. Okay, now here is the pop-up window. Okay, where we have to enter some script name. Let's say I'll say it as March _ 7 a.m. Okay, this is a script which I'm creating now. Script name, location, you can leave it as it is. You should select a protocol here. Okay, I'm selecting web HTTP HTML protocol because it's a web application. Okay, I'm clicking on create. Okay, so as soon as you click on create, this is how the script editor looks like. The Vugen script editor looks like. This is a home page of it. On the left hand side, you have all the solution explorer. On the left hand side, you have all the solution explorer. On the right hand side is where the script will get recorded, the code will get recorded. So now, okay, there are multiple things over here on the left hand side. For time being, you can ignore all of those and you can concentrate only on these three for time being: view user init, action, and view user end. Okay. So whatever we record, might go into these, any of these, based on the action we select. Okay. Now let's record this functionality. There is an option over here to record. Okay. So this is the option over here. If you click on this icon, it will start recording. Okay, based on the options we give. So I'm gonna click on it. Okay, as soon as I click on the start recording, I'm getting this pop-up window where I should select some options, like in which action I should record. Okay, it will give us three options: view user init, action, and view user end. Okay, for time being, let's record it in action. In actual upcoming classes, we'll discuss more in detail. Okay, and then it will ask us to record a web browser. What is the browser in which you want to record? Is it Internet Explorer, or is it Chrome, or is it Firefox? Okay, let's stick to Internet Explorer. And what is your application URL? You should give your application URL here. For now, this is the application URL, and I'm going to click on start recording. I'm going to click on start recording. So as soon as I clicked on start recording, I got a pop-up window, like I got a movable pop-up window here. You see, this is a movable pop-up window. Okay, and you are able to see some number here, which keeps on increasing. As soon as we perform some action, it will keep on increasing. So what does that mean is, whenever that particular number is increasing, it means that Vugen is this particular component or this particular tool is able to record the application flow successfully, right? This tool is able to record the application flow successfully. Okay, if this number is not increasing, then there should be an issue, and we will discuss in detail about this in upcoming classes. Okay, and now what is the first step we have to do? We have to log in, right? So we can give some comment or something like okay, so here it is. You can give some transaction name. Okay, something like login, because we want to log in first. I'm just giving a transaction name. Okay, and I'm gonna enter my username and password now, and I'm clicking on login button. Okay, now I'm into the home page, and once you're navigated to the home page, you can end this particular transaction. Okay, and then now what is the next step you have to do? You have logged in successfully. Now I'm just logging out again. So I'm gonna record one more transaction, and I'm gonna say logout. Okay, and I'm gonna click on sign off button over here. Okay, I'm gonna close this window. I'm gonna log out. I'm gonna stop recording. This button is for stop recording. Okay, so now as soon as I clicked on stop recording, this particular Vugen is generating the code for us. This particular Vugen is generating the code for us. See, now this is all the code which it generated for us for login and logout. For login and logout, this is the code which it has generated. Okay, now I'm gonna delete this unwanted code for time being. Okay, this is not required for today. We'll discuss in detail in our upcoming classes about these. Okay, now if you observe carefully, I have given some transaction name while recording, that is login. See, this is login. LR start transaction login. This is a transaction name which I have given just few seconds ago while login. This is where it is starting and this is where it is ending. Okay, and this is the code for the login part, and then this is for logout. If you see, LR start transaction logout, LR end transaction logout, and this is the code for logout. Okay, now no need to think much about it now. I'm just giving you a high level information about this. Okay, now we're gonna run this particular script and see how much time it is taking for login and logout. Okay, we're gonna run this script for now. Okay, Now I'm going to run this script. Okay. So we have recorded the flow, right? Now I'm executing the script. Now it will tell me like, how much time it has taken for login and logout and everything. Okay. I clicked on the run button over there. See, I clicked on the run button and it has started the execution and it completed the execution in no time. Okay. Now, as I told you, the performance tester is more, interested in knowing how much time it has taken to navigate into home page and how much time it has taken for logout and such things, right? Now, if you carefully observe this particular report, summary report, it is clearly telling us how much time it has taken for login, okay, and how much time it has taken for logout. How much time it has taken for login and how much time it has taken for logout. Okay, for login it has hardly taken 0.3 seconds, and for logout it has taken 0.25 seconds. Okay, now this is for one user only. Now this particular flow, for example, if client asks you to test the performance of the login functionality, now you have to do the same. Whatever the application you have to record it, and you have to record it, and then you have to run it. Now we have just run it for one user, but in real time we'll run it for multiple users, let's say 50 or 100. Now there is a separate component called controller or performance center, using which we will run it with 50 or 100 users, but the script is same. Now why we have recorded the script? Now to understand that, there is a tool, okay, there is a component within the LoadRunner which will help us to record the functionality, and using this particular generated script, we can run it again and again. How many times you want to run, you can run it again and again. Okay, this is the script. Okay, now going forward in our upcoming sessions, we'll see in detail like what is this script all about, what exactly it is doing, okay, and what are the different things we can perform it. Is coding how much coding is required to tweak this particular recorded script, right? So we'll see each and everything in detail. Now we understood like that there is some component which will help us in recording the script, and which will give us some response times like this. Okay, now we'll go and see what is the architecture. Before I move to the architecture, if you have any questions with respect to the generated script, you can ask me. Whatever the script we generated, you can you can ask questions here with respect to this. If you have any questions like with respect to this component. Okay, and if you see, after running the script, if you scroll down in the logs, you could see clearly here like login has ended with the pass status. Duration it has taken 0.30 seconds. That means the time taken for login is 0.3 seconds. In the logs also you can see. And there is something called wasted time here. Wasted time is it's not that important for us. It's actually the time taken by the component to calculate the response time. Like it needs some time to calculate, right? So that particular time it will not include in the response time. It will include in the wasted time. Okay, this is a wasted time. Okay, and you should get a question like now we got the response time here like 0.3 seconds or 0.25 seconds for login and logout. Is there any SLA or is there any generic rule that the response time should be or the page load time should be within this many seconds or something like that? Yes, in general, as per the industry standard, any page or any web application or any navigation or any page should load within 2 to 3 seconds. That is the industry standard. Okay, and in some projects they will accept it up to 5 seconds as well. It depends on the project, but in general it's a general standard that every all the responses should come within 2 seconds. So as a performance tester, if something is going beyond 2 seconds or 5 seconds, then we should report it immediately. Okay, I'm going to take some questions here in between from the chat window. Which version of LR. Yeah, currently this is 12.61. 12.61, Kaja, 12.61. This is the enterprise. Enterprise only. Enterprise and okay, enterprise edition only we'll be using. We'll be using controller as well. Using which we we'll be able to run with multiple users, let's say 20, 30, 50, 100 or something like that. Okay, so yeah, 12.61 is the version which we are using currently.
After recording, you deleted some lines, right? So how do we decide which lines?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. We will discuss in detail about those things. What are the important ones, and which are the lines we can exclude. We'll discuss in our upcoming sessions. But for today, because I already deleted it, I might not be able to get it back. But those are the lines which were not important for today. And in our upcoming sessions, we'll definitely know why we have deleted, and what else we have to include. We deleted few, but we had to include few. We have to include few more. We'll discuss all about what are the things which we have to include as well, and how many protocols we are going to use. See, basically, to begin to learn a LoadRunner tool, okay, we can start with one protocol, and that should be a web HTTP HTML protocol, because that's the major share in the market, and we will learn the HTTP HTML protocol. However, I will discuss with Kumar, and I'll share you either a web services as well, web services videos as well. We'll discuss those web services videos as well. Yeah, web services protocol as well. Like nowadays it's important for every performance tester to know to test the performance of a web service as well, right? So that's the reason I'll discuss with Kumar, and we'll share the web services videos as well. That will not be a live, but those will be recorded sessions for web services. Yeah, so this is a script which it got generated. Okay, now while recording the script, I gave some transaction name. Okay, you can ignore this first 15 lines, this particular request, right? Okay, so, and while recording this script, I gave some transaction name, like login and logout. So what is the transaction name? This is a transaction name, login. So I started a transaction. Okay, I started a transaction, and then I manually entered the username and password, and then once the user is navigated to home page, I stopped the transaction. Okay, I stopped the transaction. So this is that particular line number 45. Okay, now whatever the request that it generated is this one. So this request is for login. This request is for login. Okay, and then after that, once after user is navigated to home page, I started logout transaction, right? So this is for that particular line, that start transaction for logout, and then this is the request for logout. This is the request for logout, and this is where we are ending. So why we have to give start transaction and end transaction is to calculate the response time. Whatever the code that is there between a start transaction and between an end transaction, so it will calculate the response time for that. Okay, it will calculate the response time for that. That's the reason. Okay, we have given the start transaction and end transaction. So before login, we had one more request. This is for launch. This is for launch. Okay, so basically, performance testing is all about understanding, calculating the response time. Calculating the response time of a particular functionality, like how much time it has taken, how fast the application is responding, how fast the page is responding, page is loading. Is login transaction what is post method? Yeah, actually I can explain you, but it will take so much time to explain these concepts. What is post, what is get, why there is a post instead of get. Okay, but I can assure you that we'll discuss in detail in our upcoming sessions. But generally, on a high level, post is all about posting the data to the server. Like we are not when we are entering username and password, we have given some names like Jojo and Bean. This is a username. This is a username and this is a password we have entered in that login page. So it is taking these two credentials. It is taking this username and password to the server. Okay, that's the reason it is post. It's a post request. Okay, it is posting something to the server, right? So that's the reason it is of type post. Normally, we will have something of type get also. Okay, where we will get some data from the server. Okay, but we'll discuss in more detail in our upcoming sessions about all these requests, and each and every line of this particular code we will discuss in detail. Okay, and if you see the architecture here, now let's discuss the architecture quickly of performance testing of the especially LoadRunner. Okay, now we will derive the architecture out of some questions. Now I have generated some script, right? Now this particular script, whatever I ran, that is for only for one user. Now the same script, if I have to run it with concurrent users or multiple users, let's say 50 or 100, now there should be some component within the LoadRunner which should generate those users for us. We should generate those users for us. For example, I'll give one more example. Let's take the bank application. Now I asked you to test a bank application with 50 users. Okay, at 10 a.m. let's say at 10 a.m. 50 users are accessing your bank website, and I asked you to test the bank application at 10 a.m. for login and for downloading bank statement and some of the functionalities. Now, if I ask you to test that particular bank application for performance for 50 users, you cannot bring 50 people, and give them 50 laptops or desktops and ask them to log in at a time, and so that I can check the performance in the backend. No, you cannot do it, right? You can do it, but it will take so much of expense and time and everything. But at least 50 users I can do. But what if the client is asking to test my application performance with 1,000 users? You cannot bring 1,000 people and you cannot give them 1,000 laptops or desktops and ask them to log in at a time. That's not possible, right? So there should be some component which should generate the load for us, right? That particular component is called load generator. That particular component is called load generator. It will generate the users for us. Okay, and these load generators are nothing but a highly configured machines. Highly configured machines. You can, whenever if you get a chance in your application, you can check the configuration of your load generator machines. There will be a highly configured, like in terms of RAM and in terms of memory and all. Okay, and now you have a component called load generator, which will generate the load for you, which will generate the number of users for you. Now you should have a component which will help you to write these scripts for all the flows. Now we just recorded the script for login, right? In the same way, we should be able to record the script for multiple functionalities. If it is a bank application, let's say some people will access the download statement, some people will access amount transfer, some people will change the passwords, right? Many people will perform different set of actions, right, during that peak time. So we should be able to record all those flows, right? That component is called Fusion, which we discussed just now. We recorded a sample login flow, right? This is the component called Fusion. This will help us in recording the flow and developing the script for various functionalities. Okay, if it is a bank application, as I told you, the functionalities could be anything like downloading a bank statement or transferring amount from one account to another account, or paying a credit card bill, or changing the password, or something like that, right? This is another component called Fusion, which will help us to develop some functionality, record the scripts or develop some functionality, right? And now we have load generators, we have scripts ready. We have load generators, we have scripts ready. Now there should be some component for us which should help us in executing the scripts. There should be some component which will help us in executing the scripts, right? that particular component is called as a controller or a performance center. It is called a controller or performance center. It is responsible for executing the scripts with concurrent users. Okay, now it's a platform where we can select multiple options. We can we can select the number of users, we can execute the scripts, we can monitor the execution, everything. We can monitor the entire execution. Okay, using controller or performance center, we will execute these scripts. Now once the execution is done, there should be a component which should tell us like how the application has performed during this particular testing times. Okay, how the application has performed. What are the response times? How many transactions are included? How many transactions the response time has degraded? How many what are the transactions for which there are high response times? So all this particular data, there should be some component which should help us, which should give us all this data. So that particular component is called analysis. What this component will do is it will pick all the data from the controller. The controller will execute the scripts and it will dump all the results into one place. Now this particular analysis component, what it will do, it will pick all the data from that dump and it will create the data which is very useful for us. The data which we can share it with client, like how many number of users participated, how many transactions, what is the response times for all those things, how many transactions for which response times is greater than 3 seconds or 5 seconds. It will give you so many graphs and it will give you so much information that you can share with client. So this is important. This is one of the important components. See, one important thing about performance testing is identifying issues. So anyone can run the script using controller, but the important thing lies in analysis. How best you can analyze the performance, right? What is your analysis? So everything you have to draft it. You have to take the help of the analysis. You have to draft it and need to send it to your client that hey, this is how the application is behaving with this much load, right? So that is where the performance testing is comes into picture. Identifying the bottlenecks, where the application went wrong, where is the performance issue, what went right, what went wrong during the performance test. So identifying the bottlenecks, presenting it in a clear way, in a more understandable way to the client that he should understand. Some of the clients understand the performance testing terminology. Some of the clients may not understand the performance testing terminology, but it's the responsibility of a performance tester or engineer to provide or to give a clear understandable data to client. Now, this is how your application is performing with this much load, and these are my observations. So that is more important, okay, from the performance testing job perspective. So this is all about the architecture on a high level. Like these are the components: load generator, view gen, controller or performance center, and the analysis. If you have any questions with respect to the architecture, you can go ahead and ask me.
Load generator is part of LoadRunner?
Yes, I can say actually these are some set of machines which we have to configure. But however, we have to add it in the architecture because it is directly dependent on the other components of the architecture. But in real time, these are some of the machines which we have to configure, or either your admin. I'll not say admin team. I'll say that the support team will configure it for you if you're working in a MNC or something like that. There's a team which will look after it, which will configure these load generator machines for you with the help of the Micro Focus team. You know that Micro Focus team, Micro Focus owns this LoadRunner product, right? So there will be a support team for us, and together, if it's a new project, I'm telling if it's a new project, so we have to work with them and we have to set up these machines for our project. But mostly 99% of your applications are existing projects, so you might not get an opportunity to set up these machines. But these are highly configured machines. where we can run one load generator machine can take up to load of let's say 2000 3000 users, depending on the type of configuration, depending on the how much memory it is it has been configured. Number of users, based on the number of users, a particular machine can take load. I'll tell you, like, what is how much memory it will take for one user and all, depending on the type of protocol. I have few questions in the chat. Can we create a script without record and replay? See, you can create without record and replay by using the F12 developer tool or some tools like Fiddler and all. But you need to have some request and request, right? Whatever the request that should go to the server, that request we should enter, right? So it's always better to record the script and tweak the script so that it will work with multiple users. But if you want to write a script without record and without record, then it's little bit time taking and tough, and again we should use some tools like Fiddler and all to capture those requests and all. So is a login transaction okay? So like there is one more question, like difference between LoadRunner and Jmeter. See guys, Jmeter is also one of the performance testing tool. It is an open source tool. But I say why LoadRunner and why Jmeter? If you ask me, see, LoadRunner is unique because it gives users an accurate and complete image of applications end-to-end performance, right? And as a result, the users will be able to detect and and identify performance bottlenecks immediately. With the help of this analysis component, we'll be able to and the controller as well. We should be able to identify the bottlenecks pretty easily when we compare to other tools, right? And when we have the performance testing tool to emulate thousands of users simultaneously, right? And this LoadRunner will have a clear edge over other tools in terms of performance, in terms of usage and all, right? And LoadRunner is highly versatile because it supports a large number of protocols when it compares to other tools, including Jmeter. Jmeter supports only few protocols, but LoadRunner will support more than 50 protocols. It is the only tool in the market which supports these many protocols. And why all major banking and insurance companies opt for this LoadRunner? Because it has a 24/7 support from the Micro Focus team, and it is more secured than the open source Jmeter. You know, right? These banking companies and these insurance companies, they prefer they give more importance to the security. Okay, they don't want to take risk. That's the reason they go for these licensed tools like LoadRunner. And because and LoadRunner has those has the capability to support more protocols than any other tool in the market, right? It includes so many protocols like .NET, Java, like SAP, web services, Citrix, right? Silverlight, Ajax, SOAP, everything, right? And yeah, so that's the reason. Jmeter is also a trend, there in the market. Now its share is also increasing day by day, and most of the small companies or mid-sized companies, they prefer Jmeter. If they want to test their application, okay, they can either go with Jmeter or they can go with LoadRunner. It's up to them. But I can say all major MNCs, they prefer LoadRunner over Jmeter, at least for security and the number of protocols it is supporting, and the 24/7 the support from the Micro Focus team. And this particular LoadRunner can be integrated to other tools like APM tools like AppDynamics, Jenkins, UFT, all these things. How many days we use trial version? Trial version, I guess if you download it now, I think it's allowing 30 to 60 days. Yeah, it's allowing from 30 to 60 days. LoadRunner, yeah, it's a licensed tool. For your practice, yeah, I'll discuss with Kumar, and one of the technical team member will guide you in terms of installation and for practice sessions. Any other questions with respect to this demo session? Yeah, you might have seen the course content, right? Somewhere here. Yeah, so this is a high-level course content. If you see, it starts from architecture basics and introduction to performance testing, types of performance testing, and NFR gathering, the important controller component and analysis component, how to identify bottlenecks with real-time use cases, right? We'll discuss few real-time use cases like what's the issue, how it is fixed, how to identify the bottlenecks and all. And coming to the scripting, the LoadRunner scripting, you have these components, right? Viewgen, correlation, checkpoints, parameterization, and all these components, all these concepts you have. And apart from this particular course, from my end, I will take few sessions on a monitoring tool called AppDynamics. Actually, this is not there in the course content, but I will, from my end, I'll take few sessions on AppDynamics, a monitoring tool, and I will take a couple of 1 or 2 sessions on a tool called Jmeter for you. Why AppDynamics? Because nowadays for every performance tester we need to have we need to learn one APM tool, monitoring tool, right? Basically it's a separate course, but I'll give you a high level idea on how it works and what are the different metrics we have to see. I'll take a couple of sessions on that for you. And we'll discuss about Jenkins as well. I'll take 1 or 2 sessions on Jenkins. Right, why Jenkins is important nowadays. We all are into this agile mode, right? So using for these agile technologies, we need to learn these tools like Jenkins and all. So we'll have 1 or 2 sessions for Jenkins as well. So any other questions? How many days? Hey, actually the training is for 1 month. Every week, 5 days in a week, and the weekends you can practice. And if you have any questions, you can always post in the group, WhatsApp group, or you can directly send an email. I will reply it in the same day. Yes, Kaja. If could you please explain some of the performance bottlenecks? See, actually, it's a big concept, but on a high level, I can tell you like some of the concepts. Like for example, you are running your application, you are testing your application with, let's say, 50 users, okay, and the number of scripts you have included is let's say 2 or 3. The scripts are, let's say, downloading a bank statement or transferring money from one account to another account, and something like paying a credit card bill. Now you ran the test for 1 hour. Okay, you ran the test for 1 hour, and you could see that the downloading the bank statement, it is taking let's say 40 seconds or 1 minute of time. Okay, it's taking 40 minutes or 1 minute of time. So ideally, I told you that the industry standard for any for this is 2 to 3 seconds, right? Or it can go up to 5 seconds depending on the project requirement. But if it's taking 1 or 2 minutes, ideally there is some issue which we have to look into it. So the basic performance bottlenecks identification will start from validating the response times. What are your response times of all the transactions? We have to check each and every transactions response time. Okay, and at the same time, during the execution, you have to see how your application is behaving. There are some bigger things, bigger concepts involved in it, like heap memory, for heap memory, and the number of users, how they are increasing, or what is the throughput, how much data it is exchanging between server and client. Okay, let's say your memory keeps on increasing, but during the execution your memory keeps on increasing. No, it's not a good sign. So there is some issue, like there is some memory leakage. So these are different kinds of issues which we will look into it in detail in our upcoming sessions. Any other questions, guys? What are the challenges during creating scripts and running performance tests? See, challenges, basically 90 to 95%, there won't be major challenges, but whatever the remaining 5% of challenges you have, we can overcome by by practice. As we practice, we can overcome those things. Like sometimes you might have a challenge in finding a correlation value, or sometimes you might find a challenge in writing some complex scripting. Okay, but that is very rare, and you can get it, you can overcome it by practice actually. And if someone is asking me like how much coding is required, do we really need coding for this? See, 90 to 90% of the scripts is, and will be recorded by our Vusion component. The remaining 10% we have to tweak it. How to tweak it? What are the best practices? Right? What should we learn to tweak the code? We are covering C language basics as well. So with that particular course, content for C language, you will be able to tweak the code easily. Okay, and if you practice a few scripts, it will be easy for you. So we are covering some of the C language basics here, like C language data types, functions, if conditions, loops. Okay, and some of the string functions, C language string functions. So this will help you in tweaking the code, in enhancing the code as well. It should not be a challenge. Anyone can learn. Hardly it will take 3-4 days to learn these C language concepts. True client protocol is a separate course. I think it's a separate course. You can discuss with Kumar once on this. I will give you an update on this, Kaja, to you, the true client protocol. But for now, I can assure you that I'll discuss with Kumar and I can share those web services content to you. Because nowadays, along with UI, people are asking, the web services as well. Like most of the applications are, being tested at the services level, right? So that's the reason. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so this is a course content, guys. So, and if you have any questions with respect to course content, you can ping me in the group. I'll help you. As I told you that I'll be taking few sessions on AppDynamics, Jenkins, and all those things. Yeah, and some of the memory, like memory issues and performance bottlenecks. Also, I'll take a couple of sessions on those things. Yeah, if there are no more questions, we can wind up this session, and let's discuss about all these concepts in our upcoming sessions.
I have one question. So Dynatrace is different, and Dynatrace is different than AppDynamics, right?
Yes. See, those two are two different monitoring tools.
Okay.
Now both have its own importance. Like both of them are equally used in the current market. So if you know any one of the monitoring tool, either AppDynamics or Dynatrace, you can learn the second one very easily. It's the concepts are same, but the thing is how we look into this, what are the different options, how we look into those data is something different. That's it, right? So that what is the data that we are looking into, the monitoring tool is same, but how we look into it is something different. That's it. If you know one monitoring tool, you'll know the other tool easily.
So so is LoadRunner compatible with both? Like, what do you do? You integrate that?
Yes, it's compatible with both. But as I said, those two are different courses altogether, right? It's a different tool, right? So those two are different courses altogether. But for our performance testing, because every performance tester should have some knowledge on any one of the monitoring tool, that's the reason I said I'll take a couple of sessions for AppDynamics. Like what are the things to monitor in those, during execution? What are the things to monitor? On a high level, we can discuss from a performance tester perspective. As I said, right, this concept will come when we are discussing the performance bottlenecks, right? So at that point of time, I'll show you, where it can go wrong, how we can identify those bottlenecks. We'll discuss everything in detail. Which protocol is covered in this training? See, guys, I told you, right? Majority of the applications are web applications, and for that purpose, it's very important that we should start with web HTTP HTML protocol first, and then once you master this particular protocol, you can go ahead and learn other protocols, like TrueClient or SAP or Citrix or whatever it is. So ideally, any performance tester will begin with HTTP HTML protocol only, and we will discuss this protocol in detail in our in this particular course. And as I said, I'll try to get those web services protocol videos for you as well. That's the additional bonus protocol from my end. Actually, the SAP GUI and SAP protocol is again it's a separate course. Rather. But you can learn it easily. It's not that difficult actually. Once you master it, how to write scripts, how to tweak the code and everything, how to understand the performance testing, how to run from controller, how to analyze, how to identify bottlenecks. If you know all these things, protocol is hardly 2 to 3 days. You can learn any protocol in 3-4 days max. If you know one protocol, if you want to learn SAP, you can learn it in 1 week max. If you want to learn TrueClient, you can learn it in 1 week max. But understanding this performance thing, learning scripting and how to execute, how to identify bottlenecks, learn how to script, scripting part, and all this is very important. This will take time to learn. It will take a month at least to master. Yeah. If there are no more questions, we can end up the session. And let's discuss in detail about all these concepts in our upcoming regular sessions. Thanks guys, thanks for joining. If you have any questions, you can definitely post it in our group, and not only today, I'll in our upcoming sessions as well, I'll reply and to your questions on daily basis. Thank you.